Selamat pagi Malaysia. How are
Yes,
you? Apa khabar?
I am good and I'm going to be great soon because you've introduced a very exciting lady into our lives and especially into our show today. When people join in, they will just know why we say what we say. But before that, Charm, how are you?
I am good. I'm especially good because our guest said she liked the starting song, and I
Oh,
chose the starting song, so I like it.
I see. But I want to remind you what our guest said before she liked the song. She says she's with gorgeous women. So that's all that matters, and that's all
That
I'm
all
going
that
to
matters.
say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And
Okay, so shall I introduce her?
yes, please, 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 please. I can't
Yeah.
wait to bring her up. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with a question, right? The question is, what on earth is a graduate in computer sciences from Carnegie Mellon, no less, right, doing in HR,
Mm, what?
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like seriously, I mean, what could have gone wrong? Like what on earth did she do, and what kind of decision making did she, do to get herself into HR from Carnegie Mellon Computer Sciences, right? First time I met her was when she was on our side of the fence looking in. What do I mean? Outside of the fence, were looking in and working with organizations. Then she jumped over the fence and went into the other side and started working in organizations in HR,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now I don't know what she's doing. I think she's straddling between the two. So we're gonna figure out, right? Like I said, decision making a little bit like but what I found out this morning was that about 2 years ago, in June 2020, she hosted a program called Follow Your Flow.
Ah,
Yeah, right. So which told me good signal, good sign. We picked the right guess. All right. So she's flowing with us. Either that or she plagiarized our idea lah, before we got the idea. Okay, so I'm
well,
gonna bring
yeah.
let's bring her on. Yeah, let's
I,
bring
I
her
would
on.
I wouldn't dare say such things about darling Ika. When you're dealing with such intelligent people, you don't say such things because then if you say something back, you fall flat on your face. But Ika, I didn't say that. Welcome to the show. Good morning. How are you, Indonesia?
Good morning, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia. I am doing well, even with lack of sleep. So that's actually really good news.
Good, good, good. Okay, so I am going to start with the first question,
Hmm.
right? And the first
Eh,
question
no
is this.
warm up. No warm up with Ika, is it?
No, 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 Anita.
You already
This is
Jump
my
know.
warm
into
up.
it,
No,
right?
this is my warm up because the first question is not in the first question in the list that we asked her because this is like
Hmm.
the super warm up, fast warm up, hangat warm up as we would say in our part of the world. I don't know how it will we will say in Indonesia. Okay, follow your flow.
Hmm.
Hmm. How have you
What
followed your
about it?
flow?
Oh, I don't know if I can answer that, but when I discovered this whole concept of flow by Csikszentmihalyi, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was just, what? There's this state that I never knew about. So I really tried to practice it, right? Like, what does it really mean? Because, as a concept, you don't know until you try to
Mm.
experiment with it. And then the research came out in 2020 that one of the most effective things that you can actually do to battle this pandemic and with your well-being is actually
Mm.
being in flow. So I was like, oh, look at that, right? And so since then, I have expanded what flow really means for me, not just like what task focused, right?
Mm.
Because usually it's in an activity, in a task, but also in life, right? And how much my decisions actually needs to be uncomfortable enough so that I'm actually maximizing flow, right?
Mm.
So Yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
scary life,
Okay.
but
Okay.
the ride is. It just needs to be 4% scary, right? Like that's what I like about it. Just 4% scary.
4%. Yeah, 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 yeah. I want to know how many times you have 4% scary in life, or
Oh my God, I think every day, especially as a motherhood, every day is at least 4% scary,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So the anxiety is real. The anxiety is real. And I think there are moments, not just in motherhood, but in life. Sometimes it goes up to, I don't know, 99%. But then that's, I have the realization when it's at the 99%, it's not flow, right? So like,
Hmm.
okay, when it's at like 99%, what can I do? You can hear my son screaming in the background. What can I do to actually either dial it down or raising the skill so it doesn't have to be 99? So that concept really helped me navigate because it's either do I have control of the situation or which skill do I need to like raise so I can be at flow, right? So I
Hmm.
really like that. Mhm.
Hmm. It's interesting, right? It's that that idea that actually we have it in our system to be able to dial it up or dial it down, to kind of like, oh, it's almost like I'm use that word dial, right? That dial on a radio, and you can tweak it this way and tweak it that way until you get to the right FM station, kind of a thing, right?
Mhm.
um but what makes you, I don't, well, maybe I'm asking this question from total unconscious or not being aware of it myself, right? But what makes you know that, what makes you say, you know what, that 4% I can hack it? What's your courage? What gives you that courage to say, you know what, I want to do that 4%, or maybe it's even more than that 4%, right? And amp it up a little bit.
Okay, so courage is a big word because I don't ever identify myself as a courageous person. I
Mm,
know it's a virtue that I'm intentionally want to strengthen, but
mm,
I'm not at the stage that I'm comfortable enough to identify myself as a courageous person, right? But what I am really aware of since, I don't know, probably about 15 years ago, is that the virtue that I'm really, really strong at is curiosity. And
mm,
so, as
mm,
long as I stay true in following that curiosity, it's not for me, it's not about being courage. For me,
mm,
it's like staying true to that curiosity
mm,
and apparently by doing that the side effect is courage seen by other people, right? But if you ask me it's like, well, that a courageous move, and I'm like, I don't think that was a courageous move. Like that was a necessity to do, and because I was like really curious to be able to master it. So I think it's more about mastery and progress
mm,
and not about courage.
mm.
I
Okay,
don't know
that's
if
a
that
nice
answers your
reframe.
question.
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice
Mm.
reframe of courage.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Actually, so Ika, what's interesting, I mean, this is the thing with conversation with people like you, right? Like, we never get to ask the questions that we actually even wanted to ask in the beginning because you totally take us to a different space. Now, so I
Oops,
like, yeah,
sorry.
I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
and people who are listening and they'll
Mm.
be very curious to know, what we're talking about in terms of, flow states. So people who have
Mm.
been exposed to the idea of flow states, which is actually the optimal state,
Mm.
by Professor Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Hi is the one we're looking at. But what you said about, you seem to be seeking discomfort when you first started. You said, hi, I'm always looking for that 4% stretch, right? And of course, you have shown that because you're so aware, when you do too much of that, you are then focused on bringing it down, right? But if you can just help us understand why you seek discomfort, why do you keep seek the stretch, and what are you getting when you're seeking that stretch or the discomfort?
Okay. So I don't think I started out seeking that stretch or discomfort. I think at the beginning it was dissatisfaction with the average and the status quo, right? So, for
Mm.
example, there's a certain things that is done a certain way, just like a report, right? And everybody's happy with the report, and I'm like, I think if we tweak this to be this, it would be better. I looked at this example of a poster. Maybe if we can embed the design of a poster with the report, then people would want to read it better. So it started out like that. So I don't know what to call that, right? Maybe because I was both involved in art, like the aesthetic part of, like, okay, so now when I was in high school, I realized that I was a generalist. What I mean by that is I was good in arts, I was good in history, but I was also good in science. So when I had to go to college, I didn't know what to focus on, right?
Mm, mm,
And so I looked for the pragmatic approach. But I guess that background never actually fade away. So when people actually see things from one perspective, I like seeing it from all the different perspective, right? So I think it started out from that. And as I practice that, and then as I discover flow and personal growth, and I think what I love most about the concept of flow, that the research question that Csikszentmihalyi use is not, it's not about how to optimize your life, right? It's
mm,
basically how to make life most fulfilling,
mm.
right? So that was the question. The bigger question is that I'm like, wow, from that big question, you actually get flow. So since then, I'm like, all right, I want, like, of course, I want my life to be fulfilling and satisfying and also enjoyable, right? And then I don't want to deal with too many frameworks. Then I just focus on one. And so I realized that need to just kind of be like, oh, what more? What else is
Mm,
there? But if I don't control it, then it becomes anxiety.
mm,
Right?
Mm.
mm.
So it's not necessarily seeking for it, but then it's like I know that's the optimal space. And if I really want to tap into the optimal space, I need to train my eyes, my body, my environment, and my head to be ready for that 4%, right? Or else it would just be like stagnant and bleh.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay. so so taking all you've shared just now, right? And
Mm,
I and just from from your body language, I'm saying, oh, some of these things I'm thinking about it for the first time. Not maybe the first time. It's kind of clicking in a different way for you, right? And you're putting logic,
mm,
you're stringing it in terms of making sense for you. So
mm.
how would you take that and map that to your journey, your career? You started, like I said, on this side of the fence, right? Working outside in, in
Yeah.
culture and leadership, and then you looked at. I remember when you told us that in that conversation, we were like, really, you're going mainstream, but it wasn't so mainstream. You moved into the other side of the fence, and you
Mm,
were inside, working inside, right, with GoJet,
mm,
right? And
mm.
then you're now, I think, in a transition as well. So how how did that how does that map with your
The decision
curiosity?
making.
Yeah, your curiosity, not courage, but curiosity.
Yeah.
And not the status quo, and
Mm,
looking at something different or doing things different.
mm.
How do you see that match?
Okay. So one, I always like the word career kind of gives me anxiety because I think it defines a lot of things for different people, right? Like, how do you build your career? And I'm like, I don't build my career; it just kind of happens. But then my definition of career for me, career is a platform where I get to express who I am that is serving my community, right?
Mm.
So for me, it's just a platform. So when people talk about building their career intentionally, right, that's not me because
Mm,
I never had this vision of career, right? So just we're in the same space. So when I decided to jump over the fence, I knew I was clear about certain things. I knew that I was really curious about culture and to how to really build culture in a different way because of that frustration of the status quo. It feels like when people want to build culture, they use the exact same template, right? The theory, right? And I'm like, isn't there another way to do it? Isn't there? I don't know if it works, but if there's an opportunity for me to try it and explore it, even fail miserably, I want it, right? So I guess I kind of manifested that. And I will be forever grateful for Gojek for giving me that opportunity because, like, who am I, right? And we get to grow together, explore together, and I get to really be who I am in the journey also, right? They don't expect me to be someone different or have to fit a certain persona. So in that sense, that was the decision making. And I
Hmm.
remember at the beginning, knowing me, let me try this for a year. And then in 1 year, I review again, right? Review again whether this is working or not, and then I go to the second year, so that's usually how I operate. And then
Yeah.
6 years later, I'm still there.
There, there you go. Okay, so now I'm gonna ask one more, Malar, one more, then I'll hand over to you. Okay, all right. Um, so where does motherhood fit into that? Was it? Oh, how does
Yeah, and
motherhood? Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many different ways that I can explain about this or explore this, right? I think one, motherhood has given me a different priority on what or reshaped another way of career in my life, right?
Mm,
Like, so it's still a platform to express myself, but then the shape is a bit different than you know than being a full timer, right?
mm,
So now I'm like, okay, with this motherhood, I know I'm super clear about that. One, I want to have that space to just enjoy with the family, waking up, taking a stroll, having long breakfast with the family. Like, I love that, right? I want to create space for that. So that's why I'm not looking for it. So the job or the work that attracted me are the ones that can give me that space while at the same time serving for the community, right? So that's the first
mm,
one. And the second one is how much I know it's not about control per se, but how much of the role I can still have a lot of time and control of my time. So it means like, if you work for a certain role, your time is not for you, like a surgeon, for example, like we need you right now, right? That thing. I'm like, okay, at this stage, I don't want that, right? At this stage, this season, the way my best friend calls it, the season, this is the kind of career and life that I want to shape. So that's one aspect of it, the shape of the career, right?
mm,
The second part of it is so that's the form and the function. And the
mm,
function, think, I think what I realized most about motherhood, how people talk about motherhood, how like it's great, it's amazing, or not, or fulfilling. But I think what I realized was the gift of motherhood for me. And I was inspired by this cartoon that I watch. It's basically when the husband was holding the baby in the first time, and the nurse comes in and said, "Oh, look at that! Isn't that beautiful?" And then he looked at his wife and is like, "Yeah, isn't she beautiful? She's so focused. She's so strong in delivering this baby into this life." And then when I saw that cartoon, it's like, oh wow, I never embraced that about me. I never embraced that I am, because of this experience, I am beauty. I am focused. I am strong. How come I never accepted that about myself, right? Like ever. But then when you see it in their people, you see it. You see the beauty, the focus, and the power that the experience has given us as mothers, right? And I think for a lot of people that also translates as confidence or courage. But for me, it's not about confidence and courage. It's like I'm embracing. Yeah, it's been proven, right? Because of the experience. I was experiencing beauty. I was experiencing focus. I was experiencing strength. And these are all the elements that I can bring into all the other aspects of my life. And that's why I feel like a lot chill and ease because I no longer seek for it because I got that reassurance from the experience.
Hmm. That's such a different way of experience of talking about motherhood.
Mm.
Thank you.
Whoa. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
thank
Well,
you.
actually, that is so Ika, right? Because I think what you have reiterated over and over again, even in the pre-conversation and now, whether it's career as we call it, or as whether you look at personal life, I think what I take away from you is it that you're okay to reshape your life.
Mm.
You are always on track of your purpose, which is to serve, right? And what I'm
Mm.
hearing is that you are clear about who you're serving, what values you're serving at this moment in your
Mm.
life, right?
Mm.
Even now, as I hear your son at the background, I can see how chilled you are, how you are able to bring yourself into flow state. You know what? This is my life. Take it, because you are not going to fit in anywhere, because you've very clearly put it. You know what? If I feel a sense of belonging here, good. Because what I loved about what she said, right, Cham, just now, is that you know how when you join an organization need to do the KPI check whether you're fitting in the first whatever number of months. But what Ika was expressing is that, like, I'm going to come 1 year and see whether you guys fit into my purpose,
Me,
my
yeah,
life, and right, that's what you were actually doing.
That's
But
it.
yeah.
That's
I
true.
find that empowering, especially now in the space where we have become more expressive about our need to be accepted as we are, right? I
Mm.
think, and you walked that path earlier. But before I go to my next question, I want to say hello to our wonderful friends who have come in 8 o'clock our time, or whatever time in their part of the world. Sudip is here. I don't know where he is, which part of the world he is. I think he
Yeah, yeah. So
US
like,
last time. Sudip, do tell us where you're saying hello. Sudip has said, when you spoke just now, he said it's about improvisation and innovation. I was going to say, looks like Ika, you're never satisfied in life, but then no, I know
Thank you, Sudi, for like framing it in a more optimistic way.
I was going to be like, woman, you're never satisfied. You're a typical woman. But then, right? But then I realized, no, no, no. What she's saying is that I'll give my best today, but I know my best today is not my best for tomorrow. And that's why I'm going to keep asking the question as to what is my best, current best. So you seem to be moving the moment to moment best is what I gathered before I could say, you're not ever satisfied. Sharul is saying hello to us, and Amuda is saying hello to us, and James Fong is saying hello from Melbourne, right? So my
Wow.
curiosity about you, right, Ika, is that you've had a successful career from the beginning when before you became a mother, right? And you did tell us like you didn't plan to become a mother, but that's a whole new story, a whole story for on its own, right? So tell us, right? Because very often we say, okay, motherhood shaped my leadership. But in this case,
Mm.
you were this leader who knew herself so clearly, and then you chose to be a mother. How
Mm.
did leadership impact motherhood? And then we can talk about it vice versa.
Oh, so good. Such a good question. And I keep saying that I was lucky that I had that all those experiences as a leader. And I want to expand this definition of a leader, not just, with the title and having team members, but really taking accountability to everything that happens in
Mm.
our lives, right? And I was inspired by a lot of the philosophies and the research under leadership. And one of my favorite things is all the theories of motivation, right? Because that's like humans and how to like unlock it. So there was this theory of, for example, like the growth mindset. And then I don't know if you've heard the play purpose potential that was done, right? So that and then the drive, the autonomy, mastery, purpose, right?
Mm.
And the whole and all of that, because it shapes who I am. And I was interested, and I really believe that motherhood was also basically an individual growth plan, right? So I
Mm.
literally treat parenthood as individual growth plan. I
Mm.
actually have a document that actually I wrote talking about what's my vision as a parent, what are the values that is most important. Like I seriously have that document. Like I'm nerdy that way, right? When it comes to like personal growth. And then I know it's also another skill to like learn, right?
Mm.
And when I know nothing about motherhood, because there's so many books out there, so few challenges. So many books out there about parenthood that you don't really know where to start or who to trust, right? So that's one. Second, nobody's really advocating parenthood in a positive way. Okay, that's generalization. Let me make that more accurate. Not a lot of people advocating parenthood in a positive way. They always talk about how meaningful it is, but hardly people talk about how engaging and inspiring and enjoyable it is. And you see parents, they always look like, right? Not like empowered. And third, I don't really have helps, right? And so I need to kind of figure it out on my own. So I lean on what I know. So what I know are all of those things like play, purpose. Okay, let's try. And then I realized, and then there was this one book that inspired me and becomes one of my philosophy in parenting, is the Conscious Parenting by Dr. Shefali. I don't know if you've heard or yeah, but
Mm.
reading that book, like this is it. Like this is the type of like parent that I want to be. It gives me that like anchor, and I love
Mm.
how clarity gives power. Right, the moment I am clear about the kind of parent that I want to be, and then the execution becomes a lot more enjoyable. Right, and so I practice play, purpose, potential. That's actually just like I play. By play means not just like play with a kid, right?
Mm. Mm.
Play means what is the mindset that I use when drama happens? What is the mindset that I use when failures happen? Because I realize in parenting, 10% success is amazing, right? 90% is all about failures. Like, oops, I did that. Oops, I didn't do that. Oh my God, I forgot this. It's like 90% of the time it's about failures. So I think in that journey, I've never been faced with so many failures in a span of the day, and knowing that I need to celebrate myself in that 10%, right? So the fun is in the failures, and drama is the doorway that becomes like my mindset. What I mean, drama is a doorway when there's tantrum happens,
Mm.
power struggle. That's what I call drama, and it's a doorway to connect, right? I know it's just like okay, that's connection time, and when I start mastering this micro skills, parenthood becomes like super enjoyable and empowering. Like right, it's a new kind of empowering. So I lean on what I know as a leader to actually practice all of that at home. Yeah. And creating that environment. If leadership is about culture, right? How can I set up the environment, the layout, the words that we use? Like, thank God for my husband that we can work together, like the words that we can use and not use at home or to our child, right? That becomes our own little culture.
Wow.
You made motherhood a process.
I'm going to ask Ika, do you have plans to write a book?
No, not yet.
Not
Let me
yet.
put that as a not yet. Yes.
Not yet,
Yeah.
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 Because you seem to have a book, right? It looks like, so what I'm hearing from you is that we often hear stories, how motherhood, actually shapes us as leaders, or parenting shapes us as a leader, right? And it does, right? Because we are so much into it. So what I really loved, you brought in all the motivation concepts that I've thought about, read about, that we do all of this in the workshop. And so what you've actually done is that you've put on the hat of curiosity during your all the time that you were growing, and you continue to grow as a person because you always are curious. You took all of these concepts, and then now you now apply it in the most important role of leadership, that you are in this current space, and you're saying, I'm going to take all of this and hack it and see how does it work with this mini adult who
Mhm.
seem to be able to get everything out of me, because when you're a leader, you're leading so many people. I don't know, it sounds like that was easier, and now I'm going to take all of these skills and turn this into micro application with my child. Which brings me to the next question before I pass it on to Sham. So how now, looking back, so you were this
Mm,
fantastic leader, you were very clear as an individual. And I love the part that you're talking about personal growth, which is the space we all need to, we probably ignored a little bit because we were very dependent on organizations and our leaders and our managers to decide how we grow. And what you've done for us in this very short conversation is, get power back into your life. Don't fit in, find a place you belong through the culture. But most importantly, you need to know who you want to be, which means that you need to have your own personal development plan, whether it's at work or not, but basically in life. You've said all of that fantastically. Now that you have gone from leading to bringing those lessons into motherhood, right? If you go back to say leadership now in your head, what are some lessons in motherhood, right, based on what you've tried, that you think is so crucial and applicable for us to have fun at work, for us to turn that drama to that, being the doorway,
mm,
right? These are
mm,
things that we are afraid of, right?
Yeah,
And how do
yeah.
we, build micro skill for mastery? Because these are things that we need at workplace specifically now, right? How do we
Mhm.
do that? Yes.
Okay. Wow, big question. So, and I echo what you say because the biggest challenge nowadays at work is one, work has gotten so serious, right? So serious and no play. The second one is just a lot of like burnout, and burnout is caused by a lot of things, right? It's not just the amount of hours, lack of progress, but also not enough purpose, right? And I think all of the challenges
mm,
at work. And so I think two part for me, when I bring myself to work, I bring this persona or this human that I see as myself as this wholesome parent, mother, right? Whatever it is, right?
mm,
Because I'm clear now that before maybe there was that anxiety to like still that has some side, oh, I want to look good. I want to do good, right? I need like to force things to happen, right? Now because of that gift of motherhood of knowing that the process is beautiful, I am already strong, I am focused. So that are some of the qualities that I'm bringing into work, right? I want to be like really focused. How can I actually have that, that's I not trying to be strong, but knowing that I already have that quality of strength, so I'm less anxious at work. So I think that's the biggest gift that the motherhood for me, like I'm like, all right, no matter what happens, drama happens, failure happens, motherhood is harder, right? So this is all good, right? So I'm forever grateful for the motherhood journey to be able to give me that perspective and experience in our day to day. I know I realize that I'm also becoming a lot less judgmental, right? Because when a kid throws something, it's very easy, like, oh, naughty boy, right? But as a conscious parent, that's a no-no, right? It's not my place to judge a kid. I need to observe it factually. Oh, the boy throws a ball. It's not bad or good. He just throws a ball, right? Like, who am I to judge? So applying that at work, right? If someone doesn't answer my text, it's not like, oh, he's trying to sabotage me. It's like, oh, the person just doesn't answer my text. Let's try again, right? So that's one. Number two, I realize that it makes it easier to have crucial conversation because I'm optimizing for connection, right? With drama in the doorway, what we optimize is connection. So when things don't go as planned, people become toxic and whatnot, it becomes a lot easier for me to call them up and say, hey, I don't know what's happening, but I'm really sorry if I hurt your feeling or I said something wrong. But I apologize about this. Can we talk about this, right? And I realized not a lot of that is actually happening in the workspace. So I'm very comfortable on playing that role, right? All right, let me start it up because not a lot of people do it. And last but not least, which a lot of people are still not used to, is you're right, that element of play, right? And with this work from home, with everything is on Zoom, back to back meetings, how can I inject that play into meetings so that meetings don't only feel productive, but also enjoyable, right? So we laugh in meetings, we brainstorm, we make fun of one another, right? And it becomes, people always talk about, oh, it's hard to build intimacy during work from home and with Zoom. It's like myth, all myth. If we intentionally want to do it and create it,
Mm,
we can,
mm,
right? I don't want to start making excuses for pandemic or Zoom or work from home. It's
mm.
done. I've done it with like few sets of the teams at work and they feel it. And I haven't even ever seen them in the past 2 years and we had a great time working together. So it's definitely possible. So I think that's motherhood gift.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm guessing. So if I had to, I know Sham will always tell me, okay, now summarize, right? Because she's always checking whether I am focused and paying attention.
Hey.
So I learned, the four P's from you that you're taking across, right? Which is always play with passion, purpose, and that gets
Attention.
you to be
Hmm.
productive, and that's the space we call as personal excellence. And you do all of that because I think your DNA is the growth. I won't even call it mindset. I think for you, your whole self is about growth, which is actually fueled by what you say is, curiosity,
Curiosity. Hmm.
being curious about everything and asking and challenging the status quo, which you take wherever you go, which then turns around to making very courageous choices, right? Because you did say that is the effect of, you being curious. And we see that as courage because very often curiosity means walking into the unknown and trying what your heart nudges you to do, right? And your heart nudges you to do what is right for you with the clarity that you've gained. And that's why it is courageous because it's a very vulnerable space. You don't know how this is going to end up, but you know what? Whatever it is, I'm going to take this experience and I'm going to play. And as I say that now, I know Sham is waiting there to ask
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
very important question.
Hmm.
Sham is giving
Not
her
very
face.
important question. No, it's not. I think it may be a difficult question. So I'm consciously putting you in a spot on the spot, right? Someone might say, easy for you to say, Ika, for you to do and think the way do the take the decisions that you've taken, think the way you're thinking about work, about motherhood, because maybe what you've got to lose is a lot less than what I have got to lose. Either, be it from a financial independence perspective, or, who am I in the what whether, however fluid the organization is, there's some form of hierarchy. Where am I in the hierarchy? I'm just starting out, or I'm junior, right? So yeah, easy for you to say this, and it looks all very, very, not just easy, but logical. It looks like the obvious thing to do, but there are implications, right? Maybe you can take the implications, but I can't. So where does that leave me? It's you're just making me feel very frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely see and feel that. Okay, a few ways the way I respond to this. And to a certain point, it's true. This is my life. It works for me. Then it may not work for a lot of people, right? But then this life that I choose is also the life that I choose with all of the other consequences. And the consequences of this life is one, there's a lot of judgment, right? Oh, she doesn't know what she's she wants. Oh, she's not like real leader. Oh, right, like there's a lot of judgment with this life, and how to like accept that. So it's not the life for
Mm,
everyone. But I think that one of the key message is, do we know the kind of life that we want to build, and do we try it, right? Do we
mm,
try to build it? So I think that's a key message. The second one is what sometimes people annoys me when, when they learn about me and my husband, and I get all this, compliments saying, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky to have that husband," right?
mm,
And in one point, you're right, I'm lucky. But on the second point, hey, I choose him. I work to be who I am, and I choose him
mm,
intentionally in my
mm,
decision making. So don't dismiss that.
mm, mm,
Right? Like this
mm,
life that has been so lucky, I intentionally build it brick by brick by brick by brick because I was clear the kind of life that I want, the kind of person that I want, the kind of husband that I want, and I lean on that belief and I work for it, right? Because I realized to attract a certain kind of people or opportunity or anything in your life, it's not about who they are, it's about who I am, right? What kind of
mm,
person do I need to be so that I attract all of these things that I want in my life? And so, and that's why, I like the growth plan because it helped me bring that clarity. And again, clarity is power. And that has been a gift. And I realize when I get like galau galau, like, oh, uncertain what's going on, like, I don't feel satisfied, fulfilled. I know the first action, okay, Ika, get clear, right? You're still ambiguous here. I know the world is ambiguous, but you can get clear on one thing, right?
mm,
The third point in that is a lot of people see where I am now, but didn't see where I came from, like
mm,
20 years
mm,
ago, right?
mm,
20 years ago, oh my God, I had no clue what I was doing, right? Like I didn't dream this. Like I don't have a vision board for this. And like, who am I? Like I never thought that this life would be possible. But again, when I was really clear on that, I know my strength was curiosity. And if I just lean on my strength and stay true to my strength and my virtue, I know it will open doors, right? And so pick one, right? Like what is the one virtue you want to be truly loyal to yourself, and it will open doors.
Thank you, Ika. Well said and well summarized.
It's always the pressure with Malar and Shar, right? Because they're like, always ask the hard questions and they're on point. And I'm like, oh gosh, how do I answer this?
Malar, you want to summarize and
Yeah, thank you,
close?
thank
Yeah,
you. Wow, I think you did like a mini webinar for us on
yeah.
growth mindset and personal development. But
Mm,
again, Ika, I want to thank Sham, because if it's not for Sham being my gift, I won't have the extended gift of having you in my life. I want to first thank Sham publicly, and thank you for being to
you're
us.
welcome.
I love you too. But if I really needed to summarize in the shortest way possible, what I'm taking back from you is actually it's so important for us to find who we are at core, which means that we bring our authentic self. That is not all good, but what I love is that when you are clear about who you are and you build the picture of what does it mean for me to be authentic and what does it mean now for me to show up this way, you have used the growth mindset to say, I am going to be this person and I'm going to live my life this way, and I'm going to, because I am this way and I'm going to work hard on myself, I am going to have the same high expectations of the people around me, the people who surround me, so that we can then come together and build our lives together,
Mm,
because we belong together, we build our tribe. Now, with that, there's a lot of growth that's taking place because you're always curious about yourself. And when you grow, you turn that curiosity into, your personal development plan. And what you do is that because you allow this experience to shape you, you then, when you bring it into relationship, you are non-judgmental about it. But I think the most important thing that for me that I took away, which was a golden nugget, is how important it is for us to be grateful for the gift that we get. In this case, your husband, your
Yeah.
child, and
Mm.
all other people at work. But what I loved about it is that you do not discount that I worked hard. I
Mm.
showed up this way to attract these great gifts in life. Because
Yeah.
then, when we are thinking about, Ika is lucky, hello, she made her luck because she worked. Sorry, bloody
Correct.
very, very hard to show up as this person and to attract the
Mhm.
people who feel safe enough, good enough to belong to this space. And that's how we rock the
Mhm.
world with, passion and purpose and show up the best way we can, right? So, and personal growth is, what, for me, right? It's like, Sham, how in our flow work we're talking about, do we talk about personal excellence or professional excellence? Hello,
Excellence.
we are
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. The
You
whole thing is the
are only
same. It's
one
one
person.
and the same.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
cannot be a
Yeah.
great person at, you cannot have personal excellence in personal life and say I won't bring it to professional life and vice versa. Can
Vice
we
versa.
not bring down the boundaries and live
Yeah.
a free life by being accountable, knowing that every choice
Yeah.
comes with consequences? Now, I know that sounded like a short summary, but I know I went into the long summary. So Ika, thank you very, very much. I need to mull
Yeah.
over for
Thank you.
another hour to summarize all your golden nuggets. But before we go, any last line that you want to leave the audience with?
Let me laugh at that because oh, pressure. Any last line? I guess since it's Mother's Day, right? I guess I want to give a shout out to all the mothers out there that please, and I know motherhood can be really, really, really hard because I also have really hard days of just questioning myself and like, breaking down in tears, questioning or even telling my husband, say, I don't think I'm going to be a good mother, right? Because all this pressure. But I guess for all the mothers, remember that gift, right? Accept the gift. You're given the gift of beauty, the gift of focus, the gift of strength. I think our only job is just to accept it and embrace it as our own. And sometimes we feel like we're not worthy enough to accept all of those gifts, but
Mm.
it's there in front of you. Just take it, receive it, embrace it, and allows it to create this kind of magic in your life. So I guess that's my shout out to mothers out there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting us borrow you for this morning,
Oh,
and
my
and
pleasure.
and
Thank you.
ask you all these questions so early in the morning. Have you had your coffee?
Husband made
Yeah,
one.
there you go. Love you, Ika. Thank you so much for
I
joining
love
us.
you. I appreciate you, Shar and Malar. Until next
Bye.
time.
Bye. Bye.
Till
Bye.
we meet in person in Jakarta, darling. Stay safe, and we
Oh,
will come in
Usha.
to plug in for more inspiration in person. So thank you. As we say goodbye to Ika, and I know, like, you know how to contact her. What we're going to do is, as we say bye to Ika,
Hmm.
really can't wait to go to Jakarta to meet her again, to be inspired.
Yeah. Yep.
Can so okay lah. I have to say I love you too for bringing in all these wonderful people, because I have to thank you, right? Because Ika has made it very clear, if
Hmm.
charm wasn't good enough, charm wouldn't be attracting people like Mallory into her life and vice versa. So with that, I don't know. I'm going
Should
to
I
let.
leave it?
No, no, I think you deserve to have the last say, but
No.
really, Sham, I think I'm really grateful to have all the speakers, and definitely Ika, because we know
Yeah.
motherhood is something that it's so close to our heart. And because it's
Hmm.
close to our heart, I think it makes me live, die, and resurrect every day, because that's one purpose that makes me feel like I know I fail, but you know what? I cannot afford to give up, right? And
Mm,
I draw so much of energy and purpose and identity from it. And, not ready to let go. And it's really nice to have validation and affirmation from someone who seem very successful, but to know that, there are real moments of drama and,
correct.
welcome to life. But, more importantly, when we're talking about leadership in flow, talking to Ika, really got me to appreciate flow states a lot more, because Ika in her stories brought in how important is for one to be self-aware, and
Mm,
she's so emotionally intelligent and she shows up so resiliently and she
mm,
anchors herself over and over again because she's very clear about her motivational drive.
correct.
What other affirmation do we need to continue checking in with ourselves,
Self,
whether
yeah,
we are in our flow state? So
yeah.
yeah, and I also have to thank you because you're the one who introduced me to bag. Oh my God, what am I going to do without you? You're my gift, Sham. I cannot take it, so I'm going to pass it to
Yeah,
you.
I also cannot take it already. Too many thank yous for one morning, so early in the morning. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. Okay. For me, I think it reinforced what this morning has done is reinforce my belief in clarity, right? And I'm saying that from a personal space as well, because I'm in a space where I'm trying to figure out some things, and what Ika shared just reminded me, like, dude, it's like, right, clarity, like hitting the smack of the head, right? you know get the get to the core, understand what it is that you need to do, and sham, and then figure things out from there. So
With that,
thank you, Ika. Thank you, my friend and my business partner, Muller. And thank you, everyone who's out there who's listening in and or watching. Thank you for joining us this morning. You know what to do. Join us again next week because we've got another guest to talk about what he or she is doing to be the leader that he or she is. Okay.
nice.
And
And
yeah,
Sham, for those who feel like they cannot watch us and you want to watch a delayed one, remember we're on Spotify. Look for us in Leadership in Flow, and you
yeah,
can catch up while doing your walk or babysitting or cooking, because that's the beauty about motherhood. We can hack it because Ika says we have the power. So let's just
power of doing it.
embrace it. Okay, so with that, see you next week, same time,
Bye, everyone.
same place, with another wonderful guest. Bye.
Yep. Bye bye.
Yeah, yeah, you lied.
No, she put it off. What do you mean? I did not lie. I did not lie.